Holistic connection. Let's heal. Holistic connection. Let's learn. Holistic connection. Let's grow. Holistic connection. Let's be real.
Hello, everyone. This is PamelaTopjian, your host for Holistic Connections, Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. And the holistic practitioner we're talking with today is Melissa Minnich. And I will let you introduce yourself, share a little bit about who you are and what you do in the holistic healing space. There's so much, and I'm just so honored to have you. So welcome.
Wow. Well, I like in the holistic space. So it's interesting. I started out as a holistic health coach and holistic hormone therapist back in 2010.
Mm.
I'd gone to IIN, Institute for Integrative Nutrition, was kind of where I started my journey into the holistic world after being in the fitness world for a really long time. But I'd had a lot of trauma and some things, and so
Yeah.
I started there, and then over the years of trying to just work with the clients that I've been working with in healing energy, I then dove deeper into transformational work, the psychology, the quantum field, neuroscience, and have combined and pulled all of these beautiful pieces together. Have a master's in the science of consciousness and human potential. Have several different books out around the different work that goes with that. And now, I work in helping people to work with their energy fields and the DNA and our entire body systems to heal and transform and to really reach those higher states of consciousness. So when I look at things like holistic, I'm like the whole body, because I think so
Right.
many times we have different pieces, right? There's somebody that'll do one piece or this, and I'm like, no, we can't just look at the subconscious mind. We just can't look at the food. We just can't just look at the emotions, the psychology
Right.
behind it. Like, how do we look at every single avenue of it and then again give someone a path through those things?
Yeah, I love that. It's all connected, and it's just so amazing to me, and it's also equally amazing to me how so many people don't realize that, you know. So this is part of what this podcast is about, is to inform people about different holistic practices and just what holistic health is all about and holistic wellness. So once again, thank you for being here.
Thank
Um,
you so much for having me.
so you mentioned that you have several books. You have a brand new one, and it's a Hay House book, High on Life, A Prescription for Bliss. So do you want to talk a little bit about your book?
Sure. So high on life or prescription for bliss is, most people, when they hear bliss, I think the first thing that they think is, oh, this emotion, like I'm blissed out or I'm so happy. And actually, it's not about that. It's about what I call bliss consciousness. So it's a
Mm.
state of being that that brings in an internal peace where, Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss.
Right.
And Maharishi talks about the cosmic consciousness, or the what is also called like bliss consciousness. And so for me, what I truly believe is when you're living in a higher state, it becomes not a feeling of bliss, but this internal experience of, no matter what happens, my life can get rocked and I can go up and down. I'm still going to feel emotion. So I'm not like I'm going to always be, in this high blissful state, but that even when life hits the fan, and
Yeah.
everything goes, I still have an inner solidness, this inner peace that I can connect to. So
Yeah.
the reason I call it high on life was because I was an international drug trafficker in my 20s, and I was high on
Mhm.
a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
And I got high on drugs because I was trying to find what I'm called chasing ecstasy. I was chasing ecstasy, the feeling of
Yeah.
love. I had never had this feeling of love. And the first moment I took ecstasy was my first moment in that. And so I spent years chasing that through drugs, through relationships, through all of these outside external
Right.
experiences. And then I started healing myself, started working through things. I had my first touch into like unity consciousness in like 2015, about 6 years into this work.
Mm.
But it was never, it wasn't fully sustained. It wasn't this place of like, oh, but it was like that moment of like awe and wonder, like the
Yeah.
childlike peace that you get, or when you see a sunset or a sunrise and you're like, oh, that feeling, like that was that thing. I kept chasing this connection. And then I in 2022, I ended up shutting down my entire business. I had a quantum healing academy.
Mm.
I had gone through what I called my year of death. 7 people passed away. I'd had this
Oh
initiation
my.
in Egypt. I'd lost a relationship, and I took a year off of life, and I moved out of the country. I shut everything down, and I took all of the practices that I'd been teaching, and I integrated them even more, and I started working and learning other pieces. And
Yeah.
when I returned to society back, when I came back to my friends that I had known from before, I would go to events or go to these things and I'd be dancing and be like this. And everybody would be like, what is she on? And my friends would be like, she is not on nothing. She's high on life.
High on
And I was
life.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the experience. Like the mundane little pieces of life
Mhm.
and things, I was just bubbling up because I was just so grounded in my experience. So what I did in this book was I call it prescription. So it's your Bliss RX, right? An RX is a
Yeah.
prescription. And what I say is that you are the medicine and this is your prescription. And so every single chapter has a prescription, a Bliss RX, that
Nice.
it builds on it from chapter to chapter. So you learn the foundations and it moves through your system. So I'm teaching very basics of like energetics and energy and how, like in the physical realm, how to work with the inner child until it moves all the way into actually understanding the quantum field. And so it's a
Yeah.
very, very basic level, first level into understanding, because I think we're living in a world right now where uh, we hear so many different pieces and things that are like, oh, I want to do this, but people don't want to meditate for 20 hours or can't run away for a year or
Yeah.
can't do that. And they're like, is there a simple process? And I'm like,
Mhm.
actually, there really is.
Yeah.
It is a step-by-step, a process that you could go through. So it's got all the science behind it. It gives, all of my years of study and all these different things. I bring in the science, I bring in the energetics behind it. And then it's also my life story of what
Mm.
happened to me, my sexual trauma from a childhood,
Right.
my growing up, how I ended up in drug trafficking. And so it's the stories that brought me along into sharing this work with the
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
Yeah. So amazing. So amazing. And that's on Amazon and
Yeah, you can find it on any of Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all of
any
this.
place you find books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On my website, you can click right
Yeah.
at the top and it's right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are also the founder of Sacred Soul Academy Mystery School. So for anyone who doesn't have any idea what that is or what that means or have not even heard of that type of school before, can you just give kind of a brief explanation of what that is if you can?
Yeah. So a mystery school was something that was in ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, India, right? All of these places, they had these secret schools that people would go to learn the mysteries of life. So, think of things that we talk about today, like telepathy, remote viewing, the energetics of how to work with the body. And it would be things like astrology, sacred geometry, working with light. In Egypt, they talked about like the Ka body, right? And
Hmm.
so these people would go, they were considered, not just students, right? Because today when you go to school, you are a student, but
Right.
here they were initiates.
Yeah.
It was something where you were being initiated into an experience. So an initiate comes from the Latin word, which is initiare. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but it's something close. But it means to begin or to enter or to be introduced into sacred mysteries.
Mm.
And an initiate was not simply a student gathering information. They were someone that was undergoing a transformation of consciousness. And so an initiate becomes something. And the mystery schools were designed to transfer knowledge, not to just transfer knowledge. They were designed to facilitate an inner awakening that
Mm.
fundamentally changed how a person perceives themselves, reality, and their relationship to the world and the divine. So it was like a complete paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And so these initiates were initiated into deeper levels of awareness. So each initiation represented a threshold. And right now, the reason this is so important is the whole entire world is going through a collective initiation. And so right now we're at these precipices, these thresholds where the old is dying, right? And first it was internal. Each person, their old self had to die to get a more expanded vision and version of themselves to emerge. And that's what's happening in the entire world. And so this is about a transformation of identity. So ancient initiatory traditions understood that wisdom cannot be taught. We're in a world where we have social media, we're scrolling all the time, we get tons of freaking information. There's always stuff coming to us. We read books, we listen to podcasts, but are we actually embodying it?
And do we have time? Yeah.
Right. And so you can memorize a teaching about courage, but until life requires courage, you have not been initiated into it. You can study compassion, but until your heart has been broken open, you haven't been initiated into it. Or you can read about like divine consciousness, right? But until you directly experience it, you haven't been initiated into it. Or for those like here on this holistic wellness podcast, maybe it was a disease that initiated you, right? It's like until you understood, you may have been, heard someone else had cancer or had something happen to them, but it's not until you have that to yourself and you embody the wisdom of like, I've got to figure this out. Yeah. I'm going to take the steps and not just have the wisdom, but how do I heal my body? How do I move through those things? And so this is the key with a mystery school is you go through these progressive stages of like purification, discipline, self-mastery, expanded perception. And you learn to master the body, master the emotions, master the mind, align with divine law, and serve, the evolution of humanity. And that's really where we're at right now. And it's time for all of us to do this. And so these mysteries are allowing us to understand and come into an understanding of how the world works in a different way. We can look at so many religions or different places like the Bhagavad Gita in the Vedas, the Bible, the Quran, the Kabbalah. All of them are literally before people took them and took the religion and put them into a box and said, this is what it is, the underlying, the stories, the metaphors, and the things are all ushering us into a deeper mystery. Yeah. And my specific mystery school works with the Vedic knowledge and the Essenes and the Egyptian mystery schools. So I take people to Egypt and we go through these sacred temples, which are actually sound and quantum and sacred geometry, resonant frequencies. And we have had people have instantaneous healings from walking through and having things like happen. So that's kind of how I play it. Yeah.
And I was going to ask, is it online or is it in person? And you're taking people to Egypt. So
yeah, we take people all over to sacred sites and stuff. So so we do have an online course and we do have an online things. And then we do live events where we get together to learn and practice because you want to learn how to work with energy, move the field, create, play with magic. That's not magic, right? Like the supernatural consciousness. Yeah. And then also take that energy and move it through the world to different places. So we have several different layers of how that works.
I love that so much. Yeah. I'm going to have to look into that deeper.
Our next is in November. Come play with us.
In November. Okay.
We go to Egypt. Yeah.
So, so I had heard you say something like, and I didn't write it down, but something like you do have all these credentials. You have so much under your belt, so many different holistic methods and modalities and credentials under your belt. But I heard you say somewhere that really your credentials are from your DNA. So if you can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I think this is the difference between the wisdom, right, and the knowledge and the understanding and what is actually embodied in us. And so, yeah, I have read enough. I read sometimes 6 books a month. I've studied for years. I am an absolute nerd. So, and I was always top of my class and all of those things. So I'm an absolute nerd and I love to study, but studying only takes you so far. And so when we look into our DNA has light receptors in it. And it is the first point of inception in this lifetime, right? It's the first piece of us. And it actually DNA holds encoded information for all of our lifetimes from all of our strands and everything. So the credentials within your DNA is like, we all have that. We all have access to more information. And they even now have proven that our DNA has an antenna on it and that, it brings this information in. And so there's so many ways that we need to understand is that as much as you can go and study all of the things and get the degrees and the certifications and the trainings, that wisdom that is within every single one of us, that is the gift of what you have that you've brought into this lifetime. So everyone's going to have different access. And also the DNA it's plugged into the quantum field. And as someone who's studied string theory and the understanding of the unified field, to understand that your DNA is plugged into that, you have access to all of that information for all of space and time. And when you learn how to activate that and activate that information, that's where you hear people that all of a sudden an invention comes. They wake up and an invention comes out of nowhere, or 3 different people all create the same thing at the same time, and one person makes it to the patent office before everyone else, or an idea for a book comes to 2 people. It's all of this stuff is because we are all connected into this field of information, and it's partially through our DNA. And so we have that access and we can actually allow ourselves to use it. And there's been studies done on DNA right now where they're using energy to affect it and to move it and to understand that there's so many different ways. And I believe in my lifetime, I'm saying, but in the next 50 years, I'm going to be a centurion, that we will discover the role that the supposed 90% of junk DNA, role that there's no mistakes. We don't have junk DNA, that it is a multidimensional piece of reality that allows us to tap into this other information.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. There's no junk. There's no junk in our DNA. Are you kidding me?
Nobody, we're too divine of beings, to have had just some mistake of like, why would you have 90% of something that doesn't work? 90%?
Yeah, right? Maybe 3. Maybe 3%, but certainly not 90. Yeah. So you're doing a lot of speaking things and you're writing and all of that. But are you a practicing holistic practitioner of any kind right now?
I do some one-to-one work still, where a couple different ways. I'll do a thing where I'll take somebody for an entire day, and we do like a beautiful VIP experience with them, and we'll do both somatic integration and tapping and all these techniques. But I'm pulling all of these pieces and stuff together in a really deep and beautiful way. And bring in with that the energetic work too, right? So I do those types of things. I'll have people fly in, or we'll go to cool places. Like sometimes we go to Austin, which is where I'm at, or into Tulum, or I'm doing my book tour right now, so I'll be popping in and be in a city somewhere, and somebody will come. So I get to do those. Those are really, really fun, and really incredible. Some of my favorite things to do. And then sometimes I'll have somebody work with me over a period of time. But unfortunately, because I'm so busy, most of the practitioner stuff or the things that I do is like when we do our live mystery school work together, we do things in groups, or when I'm doing live events, I get to do that kind of stuff too. But it just depends on time.
And I don't think you have much time.
I believe in the quantum. I live in the quantum realm, so time doesn't exist. I have people that don't even understand how I do as many or have as many things done as I do. We're actually working on our 6th book right now that's coming out this year, and I've got like speaking of like 7 different things, and like what, and everybody's like, "How are you doing it?" And I'm like, well, and my new AI employees are really helping too.
Oh, nice. Good. So where are all the places that people can reach you? So you are on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Where else? Where are all the places people can reach you? You want to name them all?
In the end, my website, right? My name, melissaminnick.com, is easy. Instagram is where Instagram and YouTube are where I'm most active. Like if you really want to, like I put out a lot of content on Instagram. I put a lot of content out on YouTube. The other ones are kind of like, you can't do everything.
They're just there. Yeah.
Yeah, they're there. I mean, they have some, it's there, but it's not a lot. But like if you just type my name into Google, you find out, because I also write for several magazines and have some different things and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different ways to connect with me and find out fun
Okay.
information. Yeah,
Yeah, and all the information is on your website. There's so
yep,
much information on your
yeah,
website. So anybody who's interested in any of this, check out the website first,
yeah.
probably,
Yeah,
and
you can go
and
there.
go
You can
from
get the
there.
first free chapter of my book and
Oh,
get the more
nice.
information on the bliss consciousness if you want to do that, or find out more about Egypt, or any of that stuff is
Yeah.
easily
And everywhere
accessible
that
there.
you've been speaking and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all the events and everything. Yeah. So is there anything else that you would like to make sure people know or anything else you'd like to share before we end this today?
I just my always intention and goal in any of these is just to remind everyone that you are love, and that there's just this beautiful remembrance of whatever the challenge or the experience that you're going through right now is, to wake something up in you so you can remember the deepest truth of who you are, and that challenge or that thing is here to open a doorway into the greatness of yourself.
I love that. I love that. Great message. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And everybody, let's learn and heal and grow together and share this episode out. Everybody wants to hear this, I'm sure. So so share it out. Thank you once again. I so appreciate you being my guest. And like I said in the beginning, I was a little bit starstruck and just so honored that you're here today and just really appreciate you and all that you do. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Pamela, for having me.
Absolutely.